The Brady Bill by Matthew Immel and Nick Kess. So a little bit about the bill. It's a piece of legislation that instituted federal background checks on firearm purchases when purchasing from a federally licensed dealer. It was signed into law on November 30th, 1993, and is named after James Brady, who was shot during the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan. A little background info. One of the major reasons for the bill was the attempted assassination of Ronald Reagan and also the increasing gun violence in the early 90s. Now, a main argument for this would be the safety of the country and preventing criminals and the insane from obtaining guns. However, the main argument against this was that there are already too many gun laws restricting people from the guns they can own and the types they can own, and also it was believed to violate the Second Amendment rights. And another major argument was that the criminals and the insane would be able to obtain guns anyway, so the only people you're actually hurting are the innocent gun owners who know how to properly use their guns safely and only use it for recreational use. Now, the bill was passed through the Senate and the House, but only after they made background checks instant instead of requiring a 5-day waiting period due to the NRA's persistence and removing that 5-day waiting period. So the major provisions. Section 922 prohibits certain people, such as fugitives, legal aliens, and the mentally ill from buying a firearm from the federally licensed dealer. Now, there are 9 specific requirements for prohibiting somebody from buying a gun. 1. The person has been convicted in any court of crime punishable by imprisonment for a term exceeding 1 year. 2. The person is a fugitive from justice. 3. The person is an unlawful user or an addict of any controlled substance. 4. They've been considered mentally defective or they have been committed to a mental institution. 5. The person is illegally in the United States, is considered an alien. 6. They have been discharged from the armed forces under dishonorable conditions. 7. They have been a citizen of the United States and then have renounced their U.S. citizenship. 8. They've been subject to court order that restrains the person from harassing, stalking, or threatening an intimate partner or a child of such intimate partner. Or 9. They have been convicted in any court of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence. The NICS, a government background check system that collected background checks electronically, lessened the waiting period that purchases had to endure. Now, a major provision was that the NICS was not operational when the bill was passed, and so state and local police officers were tasked with collecting background checks. And we'll see in the next slide, a court case came up about that, and that became a major issue. Another thing is the purchasers, people purchasing the guns, may have had to endure a waiting period of up to 5 days. Now the court case, Prince versus U.S. This court case was decided in 1997, and it claimed that the Brady Bill violated the 10th Amendment of the Constitution, which limits the powers of the federal government over the states. So the rule was that the interim provisions that we saw in the last slide were actually unconstitutional because they required state and local police to review the background checks. And the federal government doesn't have the power to force state governments to do that. So local and state police only are required to enforce local and state laws. The government can't force local and state police to enforce government or federal government laws. So it was found unconstitutional. However, because that was the only part that was considered unconstitutional, the rest of the bill was upheld because the federal government holds the right to regulate interstate commerce, which includes firearms sales. So, in relating to federalism, the Brady Bill is considered an example of dual federalism. The federal government has the sole responsibility to regulate interstate commerce, and it's also an example of unfunded mandate because the government didn't give any money to the states and local governments to actually enforce these laws. So the position. So the liberal position on this bill They were for the Brady Bill, and they're obviously for larger central government power, and that's why they were for it. However, I'd like to point out many liberals were actually not really inclined to promote this bill because they didn't believe it actually did enough at the time. Conservatives are obviously against government involvement and believes the bill to be ineffective and harmful to innocent gun owners, and they believed it was against their Second Amendment rights. Libertarians also were against the bill due to libertarian belief of individual freedom of choice and individual judgment. They were against government involvement in everyday lives. And then to our own opinion on the bill. So, although there have not been any president assassinations since the bill was passed, we believe the bill has not been effective. Whether that is due to it not doing enough or just being pointless overall, we cannot say. However, we do believe it has been ineffective due to the many school shootings, theater, shopping center, and home shootings that still occur on the daily. Sandy Hook is a good example. Also, if you've downloaded the 13 News app, you will get notifications every day on shootings, and I constantly have to turn off notifications for that app because it's honestly just depressing. Although statistics show that the number of gun owners have gone down by 7%, gun violence has not disappeared and is still in our everyday lives. Maybe it's because conservatives are right and that people can still find ways to obtain guns, or maybe liberals are right and that the Brady Bill didn't do enough. We don't know. Though we do believe the Brady Bill has not been effective to this day, and that is our opinion.